I don't think that the balloon is going to necessarily set relations back too much. I think that there's going to be some saber rattling. There's a long history of this, right? If you look back, you have talks coming up, whether it's peace talks, truce talks, economic talks, and then one side will try to push the diplomatic line just a little bit and see what the other side does to respond. And this is a classic example. This is not a major threat, but it is clearly a step by China that is to rattle the U.S.'s cage. And the U.S. The U.S. took measures to take down the balloon and said, look, we're not going to have this talk. But I think both sides need to get back to the table, right? Both sides economically need each other, and they think they're going to find a way to get back to discussions.
There are so many odd things about this story, and of course it's difficult not to feel that it's fairly humorous in reality. I mean, the fact that we're talking about spying and something as low-tech as a weather balloon that drifted across continental US for 12, 13 days, and President Biden didn't decide to shoot it down until it got over water, which is understandable here. Is there any way that we can effectively just dismiss this story as one of these peculiar, anomalous issues that crop up in international relations occasionally and will be forgotten as quickly as it was read at the breakfast table?
Right. Well, I mean, we can't dismiss it without a few good puns, and I think you guys did a great job at the top of the show on that. But I do think that shooting down the balloon is almost an afterthought. I think that both sides knew what was going on here. Both sides understood that this was just a bit of a diplomatic test, and the U.S. declined to continue talks. But I think that it's going to go pass by, and I mean, I think we'll remember it as a kind of funny incident, again, because of the non-threatening nature of a balloon as a spy craft. But I think that President Xi, who's facing multiple economic issues at home, is going to want to talk to the U.S. I think the U.S. that needs China to be humming along in order for the global economics to work for the U.S. economy is going to want to get back to the table. I don't think that there was going to be anything groundbreaking in Secretary Blinken's visit to China, but it was going to establish the means of communication at higher levels between the two countries. And I think that they both need that economically.
Reid, the story seems to go two directions depending on who you listen to, the Americans versus the Chinese. I mean, the Chinese side, this could have been a means for data collaboration, gathering information on the weather, something you could share as we will try and tackle climate change potentially. If you look at the US side, the fact that this is not the first time there have been shorter duration balloons and gathering in the past, it's not just a one-off incident. And this particular balloon traveling over missile sites as well. This is serious from the American perspective, but very different opinions if we take a look at the two sides.
I agree, and I don't think it's not serious. I don't mean to be glib about it, notwithstanding the temptation to work in some balloon puns. But I think that the seriousness of it, everything that you had in that quote from Secretary Blinken at the beginning of the show is true. It is a violation of sovereignty. It is a violation of international law, and the U.S. took measures to bring down the balloon. And I think that that's sort of the end of the incident. You say, all right, look, you did that, and as retribution for that, we're just not going to talk to you right now. And again, these are talks that both sides really need, but China may need more. I mean, coming out of the zero COVID policy, President Xi's facing, difficulties. They've got slow growth in China. They've got high debt to GDP ratio. They've got aging demographics. They need something to get the economy humming again, or at least to soften the blows that are coming from this economic headwinds. And I think that the U.S. is the partner that they need in that.